How are we doing? Welcome back to another episode of Steele Talkin Sports. I am your host, Jay Steele, and let's get talking. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. It is Thursday, November 14th, the beginning of week 11. I have been absent since week 5 or week 6. To be honest, I just got lazy. I had some busy weeks at work. I didn't get to recording information. I did in week 6 or 7, but I didn't get it edited or posted in time, so that was my bad. Anyways, I needed a break from putting content out because I don't know, I just wasn't feeling good about it. I needed to take a step back, reassess a little bit. So I feel a little bit better now. And honestly, I'd been losing a lot on college football, and then doing pretty good or decent on Sundays with the NFL. So um, maybe just a lesson learned to, you know, maybe bet one sports book with NFL and bet a different sports book with college, and keep the funds and the winnings separate in that regard. But either way, here we are. We're back, week 11. Um, got got stats and PowerPoint ready to go. So let's just hop right into it and get started with the Thursday night game. Washington versus Philadelphia. Um, Give me 1 second. Let me show my screen so I can show the stats that I've got. Here we go. Yep, there we go. All right, week 11. Bye week teams, Giants, Cardinals, Tampa Bay, and Carolina. So if you're looking for those teams, obviously they have a bye week. So here we go. Washington and Philadelphia. Both teams playing absolutely excellent right now. You can see Washington is 7-2 on the season with their rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, who looks pretty spectacular. Philadelphia also 7-2, coming off a couple of huge wins in a row, especially with Jalen Hurts. I think he's got 8 touchdowns rushing over the last 3 or 4 games. Pretty spectacular what he's able to do running the ball. But let's look at the matchup here. Obviously, Washington 4-1 at home, 3-2 on the road. They are 7-3 ATS, one of the best records ATS in the league. On the other hand, Philly 3-1 at home, 4-1 on the road. They are 5-4 ATS, so have not been performing against the spread as well as the Commanders. Philadelphia is laying 3.5 points in this game with the over/under set at 48.5 points. Right off the bat, initially looking at this, I would definitely want to take the 3.5 and be on the Washington side with that. That's just my initial thought. Also, the over/under 48.5. If you've watched any of these two teams play so far this season, this should be a smash on the over immediately. With a total at 48.5, you're asking both of these teams to score 24 points. I think that's very reasonable. If it came down to a field goal at the end and they were both tied at 24, 27-24 wins you the game. But as I've heard this week from some other podcasters in the sports world, that Philadelphia is one of these teams that does not like to take the extra point. For whatever reason, Nick Sirianni is very motivated to go for 2. He always likes to go up 8 points if he can. And also with the way, the kickoff rules have changed, the point after rules have changed. It's an advantage to go up 8-0 and force your opponent to try to have to match you with the 2-point play, because we know that defenses inside the red zone in that 2-yard zone for the 2-point play, it's very difficult to get free as far as receivers. Running the ball is very difficult. So if you have that advantage that you can go up 8-0 or 8-3, or if you do it twice in a row and you make it a 16-3 game, you really challenge your opponent to to excel on the offensive side of the ball to catch up with you as compared to just a normal touchdown, 7 points with the PAT. So I could easily see this Eagles team scoring 3 touchdowns and being at 24 points. And then you've got half of the number right there by one team already. And they could easily do that in the first half. Or he likes to do it in the second half to try to put away a game, make it a 2-possession game instead of one. If you have a chance to go up by 9, why would you not? Nick Sirianni is very analytical in that regard. But as far to back up my reasoning on the over/under, look at the points scored per game. Washington 3rd in the league with 29. Eagles 7th with 25.9. Points allowed per game. The Eagles are only allowing 18 points, but they easily can get in a shootout any day of the week. Washington, on the other hand, still 12th in the league at 21.7. But if you average those numbers together, 50 points on average per game for Washington. Let's see, 43 for the Eagles. So yeah, when you mesh those two together, you're technically coming up a little bit under the 48.5, but I still like the over in this game. Takeaway differential, both are top 15 in the league. Look at these pass yards per game and rushing yards per game. With a rookie quarterback, this is absolutely impressive. 11th in the league with 223 per game. Rush yards, 153 per game. 4th in the league. That's outstanding. Their defense is awesome with Dan Quinn. I'm a Cowboys fan. Obviously, I still wish that we had Dan Quinn as our defensive coordinator because Mike Zimmer's not getting it done, but that's another story for later. The Eagles have the big play capability. There's no doubt about that. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley are all electric. They have no issues moving the ball down the field. But pass yards per game sitting at 20th is probably pretty expected with Jalen Hurts. He doesn't need to throw the ball 300 per game, especially with his capability with his legs. And also, Saquon is such a weapon that if you hand it off or throw it to him, those could skew your numbers in one way or the other. And I think that's what you see right here with the rush yards per game at 176. He's been breaking off huge runs, which is taking away from the Eagles' pass yards numbers. So I wouldn't really look much into that because I think that's a good mix for the Eagles. As far as these two teams go, I really like the Washington Commanders this season. Not necessarily as an anti-Cowboy fan or anything. I mean, the Cowboys do suck. That's obvious. But Washington is exciting to watch. They move the ball super efficiently. They spread it around. Yeah, Terry McLaurin will get 6 or 7 targets per game, but it's not like that's the only receiver that Jaden is looking for. He's got Zach Ertz. He's got Noah Brown, Austin Eckler out of the backfield, Brian Robinson Jr. I love watching that team. They're super fun. And obviously after the Hail Mary against the Bears, how can you not back this team? So I definitely like the 3.5 with the Commanders. I do like a couple of props in this game that I wanted to shout out. One of my favorite ones is going to the receiving yards ladder and getting some Saquon Barkley receiving yards. I just talked about how electric he is. On DraftKings, here is the ladder. So first, his receiving yards total is set at 13.5. He's never gone under this number in 9 games against the Commanders. So that's a positive angle right there. The ladder starts at 25 for plus 205, 40 yards for plus 550, and 50 yards for plus 950. We've seen him with the reverse hurdle on a pass play, and that was like 14 or 15 yards. It only takes one screen pass for him to go the distance, and that's what I see in this game. I see him catching 2 or 3 screen passes, 15 to 20 yards apiece, maybe one breaks for a touchdown. But I've got Saquon at 50-plus receiving yards for 9-1 payout. Rushing props, Brian Robinson Jr., his number is set at 47.5. I think that's way too low. I know the Eagles do have a solid defense, but they've been prone to big plays this season. 47.5 is the number. 50-plus receiving yards, minus 110. 60-plus, plus 145. 70 plus 225. 80, 340. 90 plus rushing yards, 5-1. 100 plus rushing yards, 7-1, and all the way up to the top rung of the ladder, 110 rushing yards at 10-1. I don't know if he can get all the way to the top of the ladder, but I like the middle ground for plus money. Excuse me. 60 plus rushing yards at plus 145. I think that's a really good number for Brian Robinson Jr. Let me go to one thing really quick. Sorry, I was not ready for this. I do not have his stats pulled up. Just give me 1 second. Momentary lapse of planning here. I wanted to shout this out, but I was not ready with the stats to back up how often he has gone over 60-plus rushing yards this season. So give me 1 second. I am almost there. Fuck it. I can't find it right now. The computer's being too slow. But 60-plus rushing yards at plus 145, I'd like that. As far as the side for the game, I really want to bet Washington, but let's see what the numbers are on DraftKings. 37% of the money line bets are on Washington, 63% money line on Philly, 47% of the public is on the Commanders plus 4, and 53% on the Eagles minus 4. And then we've got 68% of tickets on the over 49. So, yeah, that backs up what I was saying about the over. Spread is pretty even, a little heavy on the Eagles side as far as the money line at minus 198. At the plus 4, I'd have to take Washington. If it gets back to 3 by game time, take the Eagles. Or anything under a field goal, take the Eagles. But anything over, take the Commanders. So Washington plus 4 would be my bet there. Moving on to the next game. I spent a little too much time on that one, so I'm going to move through the next ones a bit quicker. Starting on Sunday, Green Bay 6-3 at Chicago 4-5. Green Bay is laying 5 points. The over/under is set at 40.5. Caleb Williams looks like dog shit. And they fired their offensive coordinator. Remember in the offseason before his first game when he told the punter that he wouldn't be seeing a lot of action this year? Well, now the punter has more punt yards than Caleb has passing yards. So I think it's time that the punter, make him shove his words down his throat because he has not been good. They are 4-1 at home, though. 0-4 on the road. That does favor them here, but both of these teams are Chicago's bad. Green Bay is deceptively bad. They have 6 wins, but Jordan Love looks a mess. He throws so many picks. He doesn't look comfortable. His knee definitely looks messed up, and he needed more time off. But they rushed him back. It is what it is. I don't like this game at all. Chicago +5, but that's all that I got. I don't really want to talk about this game. Jacksonville at Detroit. Jacksonville 2-8, Detroit 8-1. Detroit is laying 14 points. Oh my God, this is the biggest line we've seen so far this year. Over/under is set at 46.5. Trevor Lawrence is still out with a shoulder injury. Mac Jones is going to be starting. I don't know how they stayed in that game last week against Minnesota. That was ugly, but I don't think they can replicate that here with Detroit. Now, do I want to lay 14 points with Detroit after Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions? No. But they are 3-1 at home. They're 7-2 against the spread. They have the most high-powered offense in the league, and their defense is pretty solid. This takeaway differential is absolutely nuts. I don't think I've ever seen a matchup this far apart. This is an ugly game. I wouldn't want to take the 14 with Jacksonville, but I don't really want to lay it with Detroit. I would just bet Detroit over team total, which is probably 33.5 points. By my guess, with them laying 14. That's still a lot. Just bet the over if you want, but that's an ugly game. I don't want to touch that. Next, Minnesota 7-2 at Tennessee 2-7. Sunday, 1 o'clock. Minnesota is laying 6 points. The over/under is set at 39.5. Tennessee is garbage. Will Levis is not what he was last season when he was fun and electric and kind of exciting to watch. Minnesota's had a couple of shaky games, but I think they get back on track here. Tennessee does have a decent defense. Well, they should. Here you go. Defensive pass yards per game. They only give up 156, and 13th in the league at giving up 116 rush yards per game. But the takeaway differential is insane. Look at this. -11 to +4. Like they turn the ball over so much. There's no way that you can trust this Tennessee team, not even at home. They give up 26, almost 27 points per game. Minnesota should go well over 30 points. Minus the 6, Minnesota. Next, we've got Las Vegas 2-7 at Miami 3-6. This is an ugly game. I don't know how a 3-6 team is laying 7 points to the Raiders. But I guess, all hail Tua. Tua's back. He kind of looks good, to be honest. They surprised me in that Monday night game. Or was that Monday night? Or was that Sunday night? Whenever they played. I guess Sunday night. Take the Miami -7, but I don't want to watch that game either. There's some really ugly games on this slate, to be honest. Next up, LA Rams 4-5 go on the road to New England to face the 3-7 Patriots. Rams are laying 5 points. Over/under is set at 43.5. The Rams are a much better team than 4-5, but they've just had some bad breaks and then games where they can't score more than field goals. That was the case the other day. They had 15 points and they were all field goals. They had no touchdowns. So that was quite surprising. Both teams aren't really exceptional at anything, except for the Rams being a pretty good passing offense with Matthew Stafford. I'm surprised to see that they only average 94 rush yards per game, 26th in the league with Kyren Williams. I feel like he's better than that, but this is a tough one. I think the only way I would bet this game is to bet New England plus the 5, but I don't really like that +5 number. I would want to get up to 6.5, maybe 7. I would like a rushing angle for Ramondre Stevenson or Drake May in that game. Drake has proven that he can scramble with the best of them, and he's honestly a solid passer as well. Um, his passing yards number is set at 209.5. I really like that. I think he could go well over that. Um, his passing ladder is very enticing with the top rung of the ladder, 275 plus passing yards at 5-1. His rushing yards, let's see. Drake does have the ability to scramble. His rushing yards is set at 27.5. Also, Ramondre Stevenson at 56.5. I like both of those numbers. Drake May did have a 70 plus yard rushing game against the Titans, and that number at the top rung of his rushing ladder, 70 plus yards at 850, so 8.5-1 on Drake May to go over 70 plus rushing yards. I do like that. I think the Rams are susceptible to a quarterback running the ball, especially in New England, a Sunday early game. That's a 10 o'clock kickoff time for LA players. So, a little sleepy, a little cold. I would not be surprised to see the linebackers missing some assignments and letting Drake May run the ball on some scrambles. But also, I like the over 43.5. I think the Patriots, it only says they score 16 points per game, but I think they could move the ball and, go up and down the field with the Rams, to be honest. Next up, we have Cleveland, 2-7, going on the road to New Orleans, who is 3-7. You've got Jameis Winston quarterbacking the Cleveland Browns, going back to New Orleans where he once played. I believe he's also played some college games for Florida State in this New Orleans Superdome. Both teams are bad. The Saints lost to the Panthers, and then all of their players called themselves out on Twitter. Michael Thomas called out Derek Carr. Cam Jordan said that he felt sorry for all the fans that they lost to the Panthers. I thought that was pretty disrespectful to the Panthers. They are still a pro organization. Both these teams are bad. New Orleans -1 seems weird but dumb. I don't like this game. Bet the over because Jameis can sling the ball and he wants to put on a show. And Derek Carr can throw for 4 touchdowns pretty easy too with the weapons they have. So over 44.5 seems like an easy smash spot. Next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts, 4-6, going on the road to the New York Jets, who are 3-7. Jets -4. That seems dumb. Over under set at 43.5. I mean, Colts are 1-4 on the road. Jets are 2-2 at home. None of these stats jump off the page. They're both middle of the road on everything, except for the Jets are second in the league at only allowing 168 passing yards per game. So that's nice, but they don't do anything on offense spectacularly well. That was 2 words jumbled to one. That was really bad. They don't do anything on offense particularly well. I don't have any ideas what to do in this game. But the Colts are 6-3-1 against the spread. I will take the Colts +4. That's all I got. Here we go. Here's a good game. I will talk about this game. Baltimore 7-3 on the road at Pittsburgh 7-2. Sorry, I should have been showing these slides. My bad. Baltimore -3 on the road. Over-under is set at 47.5. This should be a spectacular game. Ever since Russell Wilson has started for the Steelers, they've looked like a really good offense. He has the moon ball back, which everybody seems to want to talk about. Pittsburgh 3-1 at home, 4-1 on the road. Record against the spread 7-2. Baltimore 3-2 on the road, and only 6-4 against the spread. Baltimore first in the league with points scored per game. Steelers second in the league, points allowed per game, 16.2. Turnover differential is very good for both. You can see the passing yards per game and the rushing yards per game for Baltimore are first in the league. But look at this. They give up 294 passing yards per game, 32nd in the league, dead last. But on the other hand, they only give up 73 rushing yards, first in the league. Very hit or miss. Obviously, I do think that Pittsburgh is going to try to throw the ball more often, but I don't know. This is a tough matchup. Pittsburgh is pretty good at running the ball and defending the run on their own, 8th and 4th in both of those categories. The passing yards per game, this has got to be a little skewed because of the Justin Fields starts compared to Russell Wilson. I wouldn't read too much into that number because Russell Wilson has looked very good in his couple of starts. If he hasn't thrown for that many yards, he's been very efficient. This is tough, but I think with the over-under set at 47.5, I'd have to go under. Mike Tomlin is not going to give up that many points. He's going to have a fantastic game plan for Lamar Jackson. TJ Watt is going to have his hair on fire trying to get after the quarterback. I cannot wait to watch this matchup. I wish it wasn't at 1 o'clock, though. I wish it was a later game. Something under the lights in Pittsburgh would be very nice, but it is what it is. But I like the under 47.5. Can't wait to watch this game. Moving on to the 4 o'clock slate. Finally, we've got Atlanta 6-4 at the Denver Broncos 5-5. Denver minus 2.5. Over under set at 44.5. What jumps off the page is not on the page. It's Bo Nix. Bo Nix has been, honestly, besides if Jaden Daniels wasn't playing as spectacular as he is, Bo Nix would be in the running for Rookie of the Year. He's looked fantastic without doing anything super exceptional. He's not throwing for 300 yards. He's not running for 2 touchdowns and 50 yards a game. But he'll throw for 200. He'll run for 30. He'll make a receiving touchdown that he looked like a normal wide receiver, even though he's tiny. The guy's just playing like clean, sound football. I know they're 5-5, but man, they could easily, obviously with the blocked field goal last week against the Chiefs, they should be 6-4. They should be 6-4. They've had some tough breaks, but I do like this Broncos team. The Falcons, a dome team going on the road to Denver to play in altitude. I don't like it at all. Give me the Denver Broncos minus the 2.5. Next up, Seattle 4-5 going on the road to San Francisco, who's 5-4. San Francisco laying 6.5 points. Over under set at 48.5. I don't know what to make of either of these teams. I can't trust San Francisco to win by more than a touchdown right now. Geno can still throw the ball. I know that DK's been injured, but Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, they've got some weapons. Now, can they run the ball on San Francisco with Kenneth Walker? I don't know, but there's no way I can trust San Francisco to cover a touchdown right now. So it would only be the plus 6.5 for Seattle. I don't really like it. I'm not going to bet that game, but There's no way that I can trust San Francisco at this point. I know they usually are this type of team where they start slow and then they kick it in gear. But I can't trust that right now. They don't look super great to me. So I'll stay away from that matchup. Here we go. The next primetime matchup. Kansas City 9-0, Buffalo 8-2. Buffalo -2, over under set at 45.5. What do we always know when Patrick Mahomes is a dog? Take Patrick Mahomes. This is just ridiculous. I know they've been getting by the skin of their teeth. Obviously, look at the record against the spread. They're 4-4-1. They're not beating teams by margin, but they are winning games the way that they need to. I told a buddy of mine that 2 weeks ago, who did the Chiefs play? I'm blanking on their schedule from 2 weeks ago. They played Tampa Bay. Yes. When they played Tampa Bay, there were play calls that I saw from Andy Reid that looked like he had taken plays from Navy and Army, and he wasn't set up in a triple option set. He was in a shotgun set, but he took that Army or Navy play and he converted it into his system. And the defense for Tampa Bay had no idea what was going on. They had two tight ends and a running back in the backfield, and Travis Kelce slips by the right tackle and goes right down the field for a 20-yard pass. That was one of the most creative plays that I saw, and it wasn't even a touchdown play. And Patrick Mahomes' ability to read the defense at the line of scrimmage is unmatched in this league. Watching him play football is absolutely spectacular. I will say, Buffalo has a very good defense. Look at this takeaway differential. Plus 13, first in the league. Kansas City -4. But what have we seen in the past couple of weeks? DeAndre Hopkins' trade was a game changer. He had 2 touchdowns in the game against Tampa Bay. And at the overtime flip, when Baker called tails and it was heads, he went, fuck. Because he knew that if he gave Patrick Mahomes the ball, he would not win the game. He would not get a chance to retaliate. And that's what I see coming down into this game. This might be an overtime game, but Kansas City +2. What are we doing here? Patrick Mahomes is a dog. He doesn't lose as a dog. Take the +2, take the Kansas City money line. This is going to be a fantastic matchup to watch. Now we move on to the 8 o'clock game. Cincinnati 4-6 at LA 6-3. Chargers -1.5, over under set at 48.5. I got a lot of questions for both teams. Cincinnati, they got to step it up. They're 4-6. They don't look like a very good football team. They are keeping it close with a 6-4 ATS record. But LA is 6-2-1, and LA's got the best defense by this metric in the league. They give up 13.1 points per game. Jim Harbaugh, or John, I get them mixed up. Jim's got a great defense going on. He's like in love with his quarterback, Justin Herbert, calling him Beast. He's just Beast Herbert. He's not even Justin anymore. Dude's a dork, but he's got this team to buy into him like that. So that's pretty fun to watch. Cincinnati has a really good offense, but they need T. Higgins. If T. Higgins isn't on the field, I don't think they can win games because everybody knows where Joe Burrow is trying to throw the ball to. It's Jamar Chase. It's Mike Gesicki. It's Chase Brown out of the backfield. Defenses are zoned in on those guys, and they need T. Higgins as a defense breaker, not just to catch passes, but he grabs attention from the defenders that allows Jamar Chase to go nuclear. Jamar Chase can't do it on his own. He had a 260-yard game. He can't keep doing that and them losing games. It's ridiculous. So in this matchup, I want to back the Bengals. I really want to back the Bengals at +1.5 on the money line, but I just can't do it. Harbaugh's defense is too elite right now. Second in the league with a takeaway differential +9. They're ninth in both pass yards allowed per game and rush yards allowed per game. Their defense is just too good right now, so I've got to take the Chargers -1.5. I don't really like it because I want to be on the Bengals, but it is what it is. Harbaugh is Harbaugh. Last game, I will spend no time on this at all. Houston 6-4, Dallas 3-6. Houston is laying 7.5 points on the road at Dallas in the Monday night game. Over/under set at 42.5. Obviously, we're a dumpster fire. Dak out for the season with the hamstring injury. Cooper Rush, love the guy. Not the best backup quarterback. Trey Lance, if Trey just gets the full start, maybe that'll be exciting, but I don't really care. I'll find something else to watch on Monday night. I'll watch basketball or something else, or just watch a movie because I don't want to watch this at all. I don't want to bet on my team. But if I had to give you advice, don't bet on Dallas. Bet Houston -7.5. The only thing I could say positive about Dallas is you could take like Brandon Aubrey over his field goals. It's probably 1.5. We might get into the red zone or close to it a couple of times, and he kicks 2 field goals like we did the other day, make it, 30-6 or 30-9. But other than that, nothing positive to say about Dallas. So Houston -7.5 or pass. That's all I got. That's the last game of the week. Happy to be back doing this again. I know I was lazy. Got to get back on my game. But I will be back next week. I hope you like any of these picks. These are just my talking through it. Steele Talkin Sports. We're just talking sports, man. None of these picks are. I'm asking you to, tell me if you don't like it. You don't like it. If you do, you do. That's why it's called gambling. Shout out to the shirt that I got on here. This is from the Gruden Loves Football store. If you're a football head, you will get this Spider 2Y banana. It's just a funny football play. I think John Gruden said it before. It's one of his favorite football plays. I watched one of his videos. I thought it was corny and funny, so I bought it. I've had some funny looks when I've worn it to Planet Fitness or to work. Nobody understands what it means, but if you love football, you would understand it. It's just a play call. Football is weird. The terminology is weird. But if you love football, you would get it. So, yeah, shout out to John Gruden. His YouTube channel, Gruden Loves Football, is great. He does super awesome analysis. I wish I was like that guy. Damn. But thanks for watching. I'll get this posted on YouTube. Reach out to me on Twitter at Steele Talkin Sports if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or just want to chat football. I'll be back next week for week 12. Thanks for listening. If you like, subscribe, comment, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I will see you in the next one. Peace out.